Welcome to Sportsline, brought to you by Ace Hardware, New Kensington, AKLC Studios in Leechburg, Arnold Furniture, 5th Avenue, Buffalo Bills, New Kensington, Fazio's Deli and Meats in Arnold, Highland Tire, Toronto and Natrona Heights, Mattio's Pizza and Subs, Brackenridge Heights, Resevich Family Funeral Homes, Lower Burl in Arnold, 380 Discount Warehouse, Murraysville, Tower Auto in Blawnox, and Westmoreland Insurance Services of New Kensington. Grab the parka, get to the fireplace, turn up the TV.
Something warm to drink.
Yeah, and put an extra log in the fire. Wow, it is a chilly one. But we welcome you to Sportsline Trivia, and we'll spend some time together, maybe some warm conversation. Do you think?
I think maybe, yeah. We could try that.
Anyway, it's good to have you with us, folks. This is the week where, I don't know, there's so many different things going on, but we're still in the early stages of the high school basketball playoffs.
Right.
We send congratulations out to the Golden Rams for winning
Got one.
last Friday and
easily.
playing Tuesday night. And the Borough girls will also play their first on Tuesday night. And if you're watching this on Thursday, they will be, well, let's see, if they win Tuesday against Freedom, which they are expected to do,
Hopefully.
then it is on to the Friday night quarterfinal. And after that, could be Greensburg Central again
Again, be the third time.
in
huh?
a semifinal. you
They
know.
split, right? Is that how that's worked? Greensburg Central did beat them once.
Yeah, they won.
In each other's court. Is that how it
Right,
works?
right. Strange.
I'll see
Anyway.
I'll see Seton, the evil Seton LaSalle tomorrow night. They will be playing West Shamokin's girls ahead of the Highlands boys game tomorrow at Baldwin. So last year's private school champions. Seton LaSalle who beat Burl in the championship game at Palumbo. And I understand we dubbed the Burl girls last year the public school champions. And I understand the Karn City girls are none too happy about that they felt that they needed a mention in
title,
in that also. So that's nice to see. It's like, well, we would have had a game if they would have wanted to play it. We'd have been more than happy to show it if they would have wanted to go out there. So, but you know, there are rules about these sorts of things. Once the playoffs are finished, you must stop playing.
Well,
Must play at the Y somewhere.
I have something else in mind that I want to hold back until I'm safe. So anyway, folks, when you call in on the program and we're finished with your conversation, you have the option to play a little trivia with us. We'll give you a little question, which could turn into some valuable prizes on the program. So you're welcome to do that. And here are the rules and regulations on winning on the program. Every other week is your limit on winning a prize. The salami prize or the mystery profile is once in a calendar month. And you can only try the mystery profile once in a calendar month. Also, the multiple choice questions, we ask you to give us an answer in 15 seconds, 20 seconds for the grand salami. In the mystery profile, we kind of nudge you along on that. First-time callers will win more than one prize with a correct answer. Also, the answers are on my website, which is doubledribblebob.com. Doubledribblebob.com. And for those who love sports history, I have a radio show on the weekends that's on WAVL in Apollo. They're 9:10 on the AM dial. It's 10 o'clock.
Last Monday, I was in Apollo. I haven't been to Apollo in probably since the 90s. when we did a Burl Apollo Ridge football game at Owens Field.
October 96.
Seth Hornack was probably still playing for Burl, and
October 96.
they fixed up the field. They really did some nice renovations. Noticed the press box on the way by, on the way to Apollo High School. It was really nice. Got a chance to see Ray Bartha. Renewed acquaintances with him. He's the athletic director out at Apollo Ridge. And they just stomped Highlands last Monday night. Just stomped them. Beat them by, I think it was like 20, and it wasn't even that close. They were a little upset about football still, a lot of those kids, and I think they took out a little revenge. Trey Tipton can really jump, kids. For all you Pitt fans out there, there's some athletic ability there. So we'll see what happens with them. They're going to be playing here either maybe tonight. Maybe it's tonight. Apollo Ridge boys will get started. So
that game, by the way, you just mentioned was the anniversary of my auto accident.
That was that
where
week.
The car rolled over, and it's got some family humor.
And thank goodness there no ill will happened to you on that.
Boy,
yes,
I'm telling you.
You walked away from that one, which was nice.
Folks, we have a break to do, and then we will get started with the phone calls. 724-236-0430.
That's it.
On the money?
That's it.
Okay. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
The Anchor Inn on Freeport Road in Natrona Heights has 16-ounce Bud Light drafts every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday for just $2.50. 16-ounce drafts for just $2.50. Stop by the Anchor Inn on Freeport Road and enjoy a cold Bud Light. Here we go.
This is where you get the absolute freshest deli meats and cheeses. Fazio's Italian Deli in Arnold. At Fazio's, you're getting only the best and freshest selection. Fazio's has its own bakery and offers you fresh baked bread, rolls, pastries, and more. Pick up individual salads to go, Italian sausages, hoagies, custom-made sandwiches, even party trays for your next get-together. Freshness and quality every time at Fazio's Italian Deli, Leishman and Dre in Arnold. Westmoreland Insurance Services isn't like your ordinary insurance agency. Not only can you get a variety of quotes from leading insurance companies, but you can purchase that protection through Westmoreland Insurance. Westmoreland provides a full range of coverage for all of your automobile needs. Westmoreland Insurance Services, putting your family's safety in their family's hands for almost 40 years. Give them a call, 724-337-3557.
Allegheny Six Packs and Doghouse on Pittsburgh Street in Cheswick has Budweiser and Bud Light 16-ounce aluminum bottles for just $2.25 all day, every Sunday. Stop by Allegheny Six Packs and Doghouse in Cheswick and enjoy a cold Bud Light. Here we go.
If you're out there looking for a pre-owned vehicle, stop by Tower Auto Sales, Freeport Road in Blawnox. You'll visit 3 indoor showrooms. That's how much room they've got. 3 indoor showrooms. It's a full-service facility with an experienced staff in excess of 30 years, somewhere around 35 or so. They have all makes and models available, and they feature Lexus products. So no matter what you're looking for, they'll put it into a computer program, and they'll find it for you. Give Mike Fanto a call at 412-828-6242, or just visit. And Mike is good company, funny guy, and gets along with everybody. Good guy. Okay. Tony is up first from the on-deck circle into the batter's box. I don't know about you, Tony, but I've got the itch.
Hello.
To get it back into the swing of baseball.
Really?
And I can't wait. I mean, it's not only the weather that makes me want
it's the weather that does it.
sit out in the back porch and listen to a game,
Yeah.
and having a nice tea or whatever. How
Hello?
about you, Tone?
Hello?
Hello.
Can you
You
hear
guys
us?
are breaking up.
We're breaking up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm losing you and then coming back. You hear me?
I hear you
Yeah,
fine.
you're fine.
All
Go.
right. I heard Andre Fleury spend the whole day looking out the door for the UPS truck. The Blackhawks found his athletic protector, and they were sending it back to him after that shootout.
Do you know that's 5 in a row in the shootout against Chicago that they've scored? They scored two goals to win in Pittsburgh and 3 goals to win in Chicago yesterday in the shootout against them. 5 out of 5.
Well, Tony, now that you bring it up, there was something that I wanted to ask. I think Kane's, if it was Kane that had the second of
He's the one that kind of stopped.
Okay, now, is the move legal? When you approach a goaltender, it's supposed to be all in one motion. And those of us who were watching the game on television just said, wait, he can't do that. And nothing from the officials no complaints from the Penguin bench.
I guess as long as he's still moving his momentum forward, I guess they said he was, but it did look like he stopped to me.
Wow.
I don't know.
Well, if I were the coach of the Penguins, I would have
Complained a lot.
I would have said something. Of course, you're on the road. Where does that get you?
Well, probably nowhere.
I know, but beside the point, their power play is for naught.
Well,
I don't know what's going on down there, but
not only is it bad when they have one, they don't get enough of them.
Yeah.
And those are two things that, I mean, it's hard to believe this, but they're actually better defensively than they are offensively. They actually have a better record of giving up goals than they do of scoring them. And I don't know. I just don't. With all that offensive talent that they have on that team, they should be doing a better job of putting the puck in the net.
Oh, you better believe it. And then they split Malkin and Crosby on a power play.
Well, that's just like that's like giving up. That's like raising the white flag as a coaching staff. The point is that if you have these two guys, that you put them together and figure out a way to make it work, not split them up. I've always hated that. I think that's basically quitting.
And the excuse that I heard was that they both liked the one side of the rink.
We'll tell one of them to go somewhere else then.
Hey, for what they're making, they should be able to go on top of the rink.
Well, exactly, and it's Sid that's the problem. He's the one that doesn't want to go back behind the net around the goal line. When that's where he works out best when they're even strength. So I don't understand the point. And he'll only play with certain wingers and this and that. And it's like, you know what? Eventually, either the not winning a championship is going to bother you enough that you'll want to change, or not, and you start to wonder.
Yeah, I think you call them prima donnas, don't you?
Hey, Tony, we've said it here 100 times. The country club's still open down there, and
there you go. There you go.
And they change coaches to try to change that, and frankly, I don't see a lot that's changed.
Yeah, I don't think nothing at all. But they, whatever, it's up to Lemieux, and evidently satisfied with what they're doing. So they didn't make any trades either. Did they make anything today?
Well, no, they haven't done anything today, but I think they have. I think March the 2nd is the trading deadline, so they still have time to do it. But here's the problem: they don't have any cap space. They would have to trade. They're going to have to trade somebody on the team that makes a number if they want to get somebody back that makes a number.
Yeah, so it doesn't make no sense at all.
And the problem is the guy they want to trade is Kunitz for obvious reasons, but nobody wants him for obvious reasons.
Age.
He's done.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I guess, I don't know. That's their problem, I guess. Just,
yeah.
I couldn't tell you,
hey, They're paying for a lot of bad contracts signed by the previous general manager right now.
Right, yeah.
And there isn't anything that there's nothing Jim Rutherford can do about that. His hands are tied.
No. Now, I heard, the other day that one of the sports writers named Pittsburgh the third best team in all of Major Baseball. And I'd like to know what he was on. I'd like to get some.
Yeah, I think it was one of the ESPN writers. It might have even been Dave Schoenfeld, who I don't like much, because he's not well, and it has nothing to do with his opinion on this. I don't read him much because he really falls off the wagon.
It wasn't in their division they were the best. They was third best in all of baseball.
Yeah, there are people that think that they're that good, and I tend more to side with those people that think they're that good. My biggest problem is the pitching staff, and I'm going to need to be proven wrong on that. And if they pitch, Tony, if they pitch as well as they pitched last year, which wasn't all that great, and especially the bullpen early in the season, but if they pitched as well as they pitched last year, I think they'll score more, and I think they'll be good again. Good enough to win the division? I don't know. The Cardinals always seem to figure out a way, whether it's making trades during the season, getting more guys in there, and Cole Hamels is still going to be traded here soon, more than likely. And that's a big name to go somewhere. And I think the Pirates could use one more guy, but they've obviously shut down business. They signed the Korean guy, and that's going to be the end of their offseason.
Probably. But right after that quote, the guy said, well, there's a lot of ifs.
Well, it's that way for everybody.
Well, if my aunt had a beard, she might be my uncle, too. But
I understand.
she doesn't have a beard, so. Well, I don't. And then the Steelers said today in the paper they're going with youth. That means strictly the draft. Oh, they'll pick up some free agents after all the good ones are gone. You know, what's left over?
They tried to go with youth last year, figured out it didn't work, and then signed a bunch of old guys back to put them over the top.
Right.
Right? I mean, so I don't have a problem with them going with youth. I mean, there are guys they need to get rid of. I mean, they need to let Polamalu go. They need to.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like Taylor has to go. And myself, I would look into keeping Harrison and Kiesel. But those would be the only two. I don't think I would go any further than that.
Right, most definitely. I think Harrison come in and he did one heck of a job.
He may have saved the season for them, especially on their defense. The defense, let's put it this way, by the end of the year, the defense was mediocre, which was a big step up.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought LeBeau did a very good job too. But I understand why they want to make the change there. I think they're going to be changing.
I understand that, but you're bringing in rookie corners. That's what they're talking about. You know, they need corners.
Right.
You know, they just don't waltz in and, you know, become all pro right off the bat.
Look at it this way. They were really intrigued by Justin Gilbert, who out of Oklahoma State, that was a corner, a first-round grade everybody had on him. And the Browns took him before the Steelers could take him, okay? And he was awful. Now, they probably would have taken the guy.
Yeah.
But you know, where they're drafting, and this year it's going to be lower because they won the division.
Right.
How many corners walk off the street at number 22, number 23 in the draft and start? I mean, you have to be in the top 10 to get one of these guys.
Well, you're going to have to move up. You know, sooner or later they're going to have to start moving up to get what they need.
They're going to have to move up, or they're just going to have to bite the bullet and take somebody in the. Now,
but that's what they've been doing, and it's been biting them.
Or they're going to be smart enough that they pick somebody in their second or third round that's good enough to play.
Yeah, that's the point. If they're smart enough.
Well, they have a resource. Here's something they ought to do. And I can't remember the guy's name. Michigan State has a corner that's coming out that people seem to like, second or third round type guy, and they need to knock on Mr. Narduzzi's door and get the skinny on this guy and see if he thinks it's worth it, and try to get an honest answer out of him about it, because he would know. And that's something they can do with that. But I'll tell you this: they may need to take a running back somewhere, because they don't have a backup, and they're going to need. And I've talked about this here for months. They're going to need somebody to play the first two games because Bell's going to be suspended. So.
Oh, hey, you know what? Rice is sitting out there.
He is, and. He is.
I mean, he's no mediocre back.
No, he's not. Well, he may be more of, and after sitting out a year, it's going to be tough. But
well, he's probably all punched out anyhow. So.
But other than a running back, and a tight end to be the heir apparent to Heath Miller, I think their entire draft needs to be defense.
Yeah. They definitely need a tight end. I mean, the Miller's been great, but
he's slipping.
He's not the prototype that
He's been great.
Of the ones that are coming out tonight. Today. In today's football.
No, that those guys are basically wide receivers, and that also play tight end. Guys like Jimmy Graham and guys like that are, Gronk. No, nobody's Gronk, but
yeah.
Thank goodness for that.
Well, guys, there ain't much more to talk about. There's nothing going on.
We'll pick basketball tonight. We'll see if they can come up with something.
That's right. They play Virginia.
7 o'clock, by the way.
Playing Virginia, and it's supposedly. Two of the referees that were supposed to be there couldn't get there, so they had to get two other guys to come in. Two of the guys are snowed in Boston. Go figure.
They'll get two guys off the street. Don't worry.
They probably will. Well, and you know what? They might be better than their typical ACC.
That's right.
Zone.
But I don't understand the 13-point favored.
Neither does anybody. Neither do I. Neither did somebody I talked to earlier today. Because when you think of Virginia, think of what Pitt has been. Pitt has the type of team that Jamie Dixon's had at Pitt, where they won a lot of games. They were top 10, but but they never blew anybody out. They never scored a whole lot of points.
That's what I mean. They don't score much.
And exactly, it's like, do they score enough to be a 13-point favorite in that game? And and the other thing about Pitt too, Tony, is that this might go into the line a little bit. They're not going to shoot 66% like they did the other day. Again, that was unbelievable what happened there.
Oh my God, yeah.
That was a buzzsaw.
That was.
And that's one of those where you look at it at halftime, and Roy Williams is probably thinking, well, they're not going to shoot 67% the rest of the game, and if they do, I'm going to have to tip my cap. And he had to tip his cap because of that.
Yeah.
Tony, we got to wrap it up.
All right, let's go with multiple choice.
Okay. You want to handle this, Mike?
I can. There you go, Tony.
Your question number 6 in rotation. Yep.
Name the only Hall of Fame pitcher to draw a bases-loaded walk twice in the same World Series game.
The only Hall of Fame pitcher.
The only Hall of Fame pitcher to draw a bases-loaded walk twice in the same World Series game. Here are your choices. Jim Palmer, Bob Gibson, Whitey Ford, Don Newcomb.
I'd have to say Bob Gibson.
It's not Bob Gibson. It's Jim Palmer, and it happened against the Pirates in 1971.
Okay.
Which had to be game 2. I remember I missed it. I was home in time to see Richie Hebner hit a home run. They lost like 11-3. I ran to my grandparents' house because it was closer. I got there, I got in the door, and was completely crushed when I saw what the score was. I was like, they're not going to win this, are they? But it all worked out in the end.
Hey, Tony, thanks for the call.
Hey, guys. All right, have a good one. We'll
All
talk
right.
to you again next week.
Stay warm.
Take care. All right. For my wife, who is celebrating a birthday,
Happy birthday.
happy birthday. And the
You guys
control
both
room
so
responds.
close- so close to each other.
16, 17 days apart.
Wow, how about that?
Anyway, same age.
Oh, you're older
She's
than
younger.
Child
by,
bride.
by a week and a half.
Child
or
bride.
2.5 weeks, whatever. Break time, we're coming back, and we'll have more on the show tonight right after this timeout. Since 1914, the local area has relied on the Resevich family of funeral homes in deepest times of need. The Resevich family is the oldest established name in the funeral profession in the AK Valley, now 100 years strong and still doing things right. Its reputation and unquestionable service now continues with a 4th generation. The Resevich family of funeral homes, 5th Avenue Arnold, and Leechburg Road in Lower Borough.
AKLC Studios LLC is the place for your video and multimedia needs. Let AKLC Studios produce a unique television commercial for your business. At your location or in our studios, we're here to meet your needs. Ever want your own television show? Let us show you how. AKLC Studios LLC can even tape your special events and weddings. Whatever your multimedia need, call AKLC Studios LLC in Leechburg today. Professional quality at hometown prices. Don't forget to like us on Facebook.
380 Auction and Discount Warehouse, Route 380, Murraysville.
Automotive supplies, groceries, housewares, pet supplies.
All at discount prices.
Sofas, dining tables, recliners, dressers and desks, lamps, and end tables.
All at discount prices.
Yard and landscaping supplies, special catalog orders, mattresses with full warranties.
All at discount prices.
School supplies, tools, paint, toiletries, model cars, toys.
All at discount prices. Get to 380 Auction and Discount Warehouse today, Route 380, Murraysville.
And if you're in the mood for some great food, hey, that rhymes. Check them out, Mattio's. Mattio's Pizza, subs, sandwiches, hoagies, calzones, strombolis, wingdings. Love them. Give them a try. Mattio's, award-winning Mattio's. They're located right, well, let's see, at the traffic light by the district magistrate's office there, Brackenridge Heights, if you will. Some still say, that's Natrona Heights.
That's what I say, too.
Anyway, give them a try. Mattio's Pizza and Subs. And if you want to make a call right now, there's the number right on the screen, 724-904-7312.
You know what I always say? If you get to Choma's house, you've gone too far. It's before there.
Right up the street. Okay. Does he have a neon sign? Choma lives here?
No, but God Bless America's in the yard next door.
Oh,
Guy
okay.
Gould. The great
All
Guy
right,
Gould.
guys, let's go back to the telephones and Chris is on the line with us. Good evening and welcome to the program.
Hi, Bob. Hi, Mike. How you doing?
Good, Chris.
Okay.
That game, I enjoyed playing one game, but then when they had the shootout, I wasn't sure we were going to quite lose it. I don't know what happened.
The coach kind of felt the same way. I don't think he pays particular attention to it, and he said he was just fine with what happened. He thought they played well, and as far as he was concerned, it was a 1-1 tie, and they don't even practice them. Now, Bilesma used to practice them twice a week.
You know what?
And they don't even practice them. And once you get to the playoffs, it doesn't matter anyway. And
Right.
And but those couple of points can make the difference too. That
Exactly,
You did, the
yeah.
extra, and they were much better at them last year.
Well, you lost to a team in another division, but it's the
Yeah,
point.
it didn't. Yeah,
You didn't give a point
you
to
didn't
another
point
team.
to somebody that was
Yeah.
chasing you. So that's always a consideration. But I thought they played okay. I just
Yeah, it was an excellent game, but I mean, it just went the wrong way. After that shootout, I think everything went downhill.
Yeah, kind of did.
Yeah.
Not a good end for Fleury. It looked like his stick didn't quite make it through the end of that either.
No, I saw the way the stick fell apart.
He smashed that thing in half on the goalpost.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
I think he swore in French.
he did.
Yeah, I think so.
He said,
That's all I want to know, my number. I'll take multiple choice, if you will.
Say that again, Chris.
I'll take multiple choice, if you will.
Multiple choice. I guess it's my turn.
It is.
And here we go, Chris.
Okay,
We have
Bob.
question number 7 in rotation. Who is the only player to score 3 touchdowns in a Super Bowl game twice? The only player to score 3 touchdowns in a Super Bowl game twice. Jerry Rice, Roger Craig, Terrell Davis, or Ricky Waters?
I'm going to say Roger Craig.
No, it was.
Waters.
I would have bet all my money on Jerry Rice because he's a receiver.
Okay.
So he did it twice, Chris. But
All right. Talk to you later.
thanks for playing
Thanks,
along
Chris.
with us.
And he scored lots of touchdowns. Period.
Boy, did he ever.
Especially
He
as a
had,
receiver.
Jerry Rice was being punished for something. I think he was tardy So anyway, one day, as he goes to school, he's late, and he starts running. The track coach happened to be in town at the time this was going on, and he spots this. Who in the world is this kid? And tells him, you got to come out for high school football. And Jerry wasn't too swift about making that decision, but it was amazing the speed that this youngster had. He said, you got to come out.
Well, did you hear the controversy that sprung up around him here this last couple of weeks? He was one of the guys that was very outspoken about the Patriots and the deflation of the footballs, which has really gone away, by the way, if anybody hasn't noticed. That's completely disappeared. But because there's a really in-depth investigation going on right now. Anyway, he was one of the guys that was very outspoken about this. Turns out that he used Stickum when it was illegal.
Oh, Jerry Rice.
Yes.
So he's the,
That it came out.
look
that
who's calling the kettle black.
Exactly. That Jerry Rice used Stickum, and so that became a.
I got to tell you this though. Terry Bradshaw, in a game against the Oakland Raiders. Of course, I did the radio show back with him back in 1970, and he said, and they were using the same ball. They weren't flipping.
Right. It wasn't back. Yeah.
They were. He said they had just gotten the ball after the Raiders had possession, and he was rolling out to throw, and he said the ball was sticking to his hand.
Oh,
He
jeez.
wasn't even sure he could get rid of it.
Well, they were all.
And
Yeah.
Mike,
There were all kinds of accusations flying back and forth, both of the teams. Well, and if you remember too, that that the Raiders were upset. They said the Steelers let the field freeze for the championship game, which was either late '75 or early '76, the '75 season. That they didn't cover the field properly and let the field freeze, and it was a mess. And then the Steelers went out there, I believe, the next year to open the season in Oakland. And that was the year that the Raiders were accused of putting Vaseline on their uniforms and deflating the football. So that was some rivalry, those two. really went back to the Immaculate Reception and kind of started it all.
Well-
And the Raiders felt they got jobbed that day that, that the
Well,
officials,
the
called
officials were
upstairs.
looking at their own safety too.
Hello, yeah. There are enough cops to get me out of here. That was the rumor.
But yeah, there have been, really some great games down through the years. And Jim Otto, who had, I don't know if it was one leg or both, amputated at the knees,
Right, he definitely had some issues.
had been asked by the media, any regrets because of all this that
Right.
went on with you? He said, my only regret is we couldn't beat Pittsburgh every time.
Yeah.
He wanted that one so
Well, they all
bad.
did. Guys like Phil Villapiano and those guys. Jim Otto was actually Mike Webb. That was Mike Webster's hero. That's the guy he looked up to. And he wanted to be just like him. And unfortunately, bad end for both of them, really, physically. That they really, ironic that they both took such a beating in their
Now,
careers.
you talk about getting hung up on different things when you've got that paranoia setting in. Every time under Al Davis, the Oakland Raiders were practicing and a light plane was going overhead, he'd blow the whistle and stop until the plane, was out of sight. He just,
Well,
there was
wait,
no end to it.
he would send people to spy on other teams. I mean, he would actually send people to go and sneak into stadiums or whatever to take a look. And back when it was a lot more fun, I think. It's like now there'd be fines and whatever, and
last week, you remember Terry had called and we were talking about spying. And Terry does love the Cleveland Indians.
Right.
But I will say this about Cleveland. They had back in the, it had to be post-World War II or very close to like maybe the last year, or it could have been the Korean War, but in either case, they had a military day at Municipal Stadium in Cleveland. And they had all these huge tanks and whatever on display, and they came around the track, and then they settled in the outfield somehow. They put up either they got them behind a fence or they had a temporary fence put up. But the guns were aimed back toward home plate or the pitchers, the infield. And in the bullpen for the Cleveland Indians, a couple of guys that wanted to look at this thing a little bit closer.
right.
And they found out that they had these real powerful telescopes. They said they could tell the catcher if he had a hangnail. It was that good. So they get word back to the dugout that we will flash the signal. And they did. And when, I believe it was at the time that Leo DeRocher was managing or playing, that he kind of sensed something was going on. And the umpires made all of the Indians get out of the outfield section where all of this was going on. But cheating, spying, deflate. By the way, did you hear about the candy company in Pittsburgh that made that one football
Oh, it was
with
Sarah's,
the sunken panel?
It was Sarah's Candy
Sarah's
out of
Candies.
Canonsburg, yeah. And
They only made one.
They made one, and it was a sunken, deflated chocolate football that they made.
And what they were going to do was take, like an auction, take bids and pass it on to a worthwhile cause.
Right.
But it was something to be.
That place burned down a couple of years ago. They had a big fire there, and the candy is just spectacular if you've ever had it, and it's just great.
And
We've had it different things for different fundraiser events and whatever. The Sarah's Candy, it is great, and they run out of this one little small little factory. If you're ever going to the Meadows and you look over to the right, and you look to the right, it's the red building as you're making the bend to go around Canonsburg to get down into Washington. It's right there off of 79.
All right. Now, what other landmark is there?
There are a couple. There's the Bobby Vinton statue in Canonsburg, and they finally built a Perry Como statue, which I got in trouble complaining about when I did a game there with Dave McQuaid once. I said, wait a minute, you guys have a Bobby Vinton statue and you don't have a Perry Como statue? And a guy from taps me on the shoulder, he goes, it's coming. And you can actually press the button and it plays music.
In the one block area or block and a half that Sarah's Candies is located, all the telephone poles have red and white stripes, so they look like candy canes.
I didn't
That's next time you go by.
I've only been
you
actually
check.
in Canonsburg proper one time. And that was a Shady Side Academy played Brownsville. And we did that and showed it on good old Channel 3. And that was the game there. And I also remember they had a Hosses there, so there was some place to go eat.
Ooh,
but I don't think it's
steakhouse.
there. I don't think it's there anymore. Those have pretty much all gone away around here. But yeah, and that, you know, it's a great old town, and one of the great old towns of Western Pennsylvania. And Perry Como had the barbershop. It kind of started the whole thing there. And you know, he and Bobby Vinton. It's amazing that you could have two singers like that were so popular and such a big deal that came from such a small.
What was the big hit that Vinton had that was the Blue Velvet?
Oh yeah, he did Blue
oh,
Velvet. If you've ever seen the movie, it's a little bit frightening. It's from the 80s. Go back and look.
Folks, we got to take a break. We come back. I urge you to place a call, if you will, 724-236-0430.
Wait, we have things. There are things. We're going to talk about the Wacos. I have a little Las Vegas news. Jerry Tarkanian passed away this week, and they're doing something very interesting.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that when we come back, too.
All right, let's take the break, and we'll be back right after this.
Allegheny Six Packs and Doghouse on Pittsburgh Street in Cheswick has Budweiser and Bud Light 16-ounce aluminum bottles for just $2.25 all day, every Sunday. Stop by Allegheny Six Packs and Doghouse in Cheswick and enjoy a cold Bud Light. Here we go.
Westmoreland Insurance Services isn't like your ordinary insurance agency. Not only can you get a variety of quotes from leading insurance companies, but you can purchase that protection through Westmoreland Insurance. Accidents happen. Are you prepared? You can be with a wide range of homeowners insurance options from Westmoreland Insurance Services, putting your family's safety in their family's hands for almost 40 years. Give them a call, 724-337-3557. My First Book on Sports is available not only through the internet, but at various local businesses in the AK Valley. It's Bob Tattern's Sports Minutes. Short sports stories, odd and unusual, fascinating and funny, only take about a minute to read. Go online to doubletripplebob.com, where links are provided for Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Word Association to get book information. Get your copy locally at Costello Printing in Tarentum, Blackburn's in Tarentum, Myrna's Brewery Outlet in New Kensington, or the Hot Dog Guys Lower Borough.
The Anchor Inn on Freeport Road in Natrona Heights has 16-ounce Bud Light drafts every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday for just $2.50. 16-ounce drafts for just $2.50. Stop by the Anchor Inn on Freeport Road and enjoy a cold Bud Light. Here we go.
You know, Tower Auto Sales can boast of the best products, the best selection, the best customer communication, and best service after the sale. You know, there's one thing that goes on in business. You always wonder why you don't get a call back from somebody that you had been in touch with. But when you're dealing with Tower Auto, you're never in the dark about where and what's going on with, you know, your deal. And Mike Fanto makes sure that all of his people are in contact with their folks. So try him out. Give Mike a call at 412-828-6202. And just buy it at Tower Auto. And may I remind you also that Mike has his own radio show on the weekends on WJAS. And it's, I believe, 7:30 Saturday morning or Sunday morning. But check them out. Dial around and you'll pick up.
iHeartRadio app. Get the iHeartRadio app, and WJAS is on there.
It's called Tower 412.
And you can just bang, bang. You get the 1320 right on there, and there's a bunch of different, which is great because you don't. I mean, I don't have a radio anymore. I just listen to radio on my iPad now.
Let's keep a promise. You wanted to talk about Tarkanian's passing.
Yeah, this is really
and
interesting.
what's going on in...
This is really interesting. Jerry Tarkanian passed away this past week, the great coach at UNLV.
You might remember him. He was always chewing on the white towel.
Chewing on that towel. Think what you will of him, and believe me, there were a little bit of revisionist history going on about how, he was always battling the NCAA. Well, there was one reason for that, because he cheated. So...
And who was the pick? Tim Gergerich was on his staff.
Tim Gergerich was his, Tim Gergerich had coached Pitt, at Pitt and was the head coach after Buzz Riddle, and Tim Gergerich had gotten the job out there with Tarkanian as his head assistant and his recruiter, and they used a lot of the resources of the city of Las Vegas, including Sonny Vaccaro, I'm sure, who helped, because I'm pretty sure they were a Nike school, and they had some great players and some great teams. If you remember, they beat, it was in the early 90s, and they beat Duke in a championship game and just dismantled them. Must have beat them by 30 points. And it was as shocked as Mike Krzyzewski ever was. He said it was the greatest performance he had ever seen. Well, then they came back the next year and got to meet up again in the Final Four in the semifinal game this time. And Duke got their revenge. Duke got them, beat them, knocked them out. And the greatest line from that was by the great coach John Wooden at UCLA, who was at the game. And he got up. The game was over. He got up and threw his jacket over his shoulder and said, well, lots of teams win one in a row. And so he wasn't impressed. Well, anyway, think what you will about Tark, but he was a great coach in his time and battled the NCAA, and he did get his championship. So this is what they're doing now. On the Las Vegas Strip, they're going to do this Wednesday night. UNLV has a game, and immediately following that game, and it's going to come around 10:30 Wednesday night, they're going to dim the lights on the Las Vegas Strip, which has only happened by what I can come up with 5 other times. And those other 5 people are John F. Kennedy, Elvis Presley, Sammy Davis Jr., Frank Sinatra, and Ronald Reagan. So
You mean Dean Martin didn't make
that's
it?
why I found that very interesting. Now, I don't know if the list that I saw was a complete list, but you would think that Dean Martin would get
Can't
some
we
sort
look that up?
I mean, these are 2 presidents,
Let me look that up,
2
too.
presidents, a king, a chairman of the board,
You're right.
and Sammy Davis Jr. So, and for Jerry, and supposedly what had happened was there were a couple of alumni of UNLV that thought this would be a good idea, and I don't think it was planned originally, but they had gotten a Twitter campaign together and got a bunch of people to get
and
going
they
on
didn't
it.
have Twitter in Dean's days, so
Could you imagine Twitter with Sinatra and the Rat Pack and Dean Martin and those guys? Those guys couldn't have got away with half of it, anything that they got away with. But yeah, so I don't know if Dino had it, but they're going to do this for Tarkanian on Wednesday. UNLV having a home game.
I'm going to look it up at the
Yeah,
next
go ahead.
break. At
Well,
the next break.
Okay, but
It's too long to type in.
yeah,
think.
I guess so. Yeah.
I don't want to be rude.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. But
You know, another thing we were talking.
but between Tarkanian and Dean Smith, it died in such a short period of time. And Pitt did a nice thing on Saturday. I don't know if you saw with Carolina in town.
with Dean,
they had a moment of silence. They played a video up on the video board, and even in the student section, the Oakland Zoo had one of Dean Smith's long quotes that they had written out on a long sheet of paper and scrolled out across the student section. And Roy Williams gave him a little tip of the cap from me. It is amazing, though, the coaching tree from Dean Smith that, you know, so many of these guys. I was thinking of Larry Brown. I watched a little bit of their game, SMU's game on Saturday night, flipping between that and the dunk contest, the NBA dunk contest, which was awesome this year, by the way, which you couldn't strap me down to make me watch that thing. It was great this year, Zach LaVine. But anyway, Larry Brown, who's the coach of SMU, is a Dean Smith disciple. And Larry Brown's 74 years old, and it's still Coach Smith. That was Coach Smith.
Yeah.
He wouldn't call. He said only Doug Moe called him Dean, and Doug Moe was kind of a free spirit. So, 2 giants, 2 really, giant Hall of Fame coaches within what was it, 2-3 day span.
Let me throw something else out, and you're going to find this interesting. Mike and I were talking about, and it was a project that I had been working on, the oldest living former major leaguers. And I was telling Mike, I was doing a story for my website, which is going to be coming up in a couple of weeks. But I was looking up something, and it regarded the current oldest living major leaguer, who happened to be a Cuban native. And he was on my website as a fan fact about a year and a half ago or so. So now it's coming up again in rotation, where I, use the same thing a year later.
Right.
And make mention of the fact that I just add another year. So I said, I got to be sure this guy's still living, because at 102, okay?
That's big numbers there.
So I find out that 2 days before he was to be 103, he passed away, and he was a catcher or I don't know what I think he was a catcher, but he played in the American League for the Washington Senators. His first name was Conrado, so they called him Connie, and the last name was Marrero.
Marrero, like in Eli Marrero, the old
right.
catcher for the Cardinals.
So here is a guy who was born in 1911 and only passed away about a year ago, and he had been the oldest living major leaguer. So now Mike and I, before airtime, we're talking about who's left. You know, I'm looking at a guy like Yogi Berra.
Yogi Berra is still living.
So we lost Unusual a couple of years ago. He was 92, I think.
Yogi's on the list. We'll go a little bit backwards. The oldest living Hall of Famer is Bobby Doerr, the great second baseman for the Red Sox. He's 96 and 315 days, so he's getting close. April 20th, or I'm sorry, April 7th would be his 97th birthday, Bobby Doerr, so he's catching up. But he's only 6 on the list.
Oh.
Number 1, and for all you old-time Pirate fans out there, I didn't know the guy, is a guy named Mike Sandlock. He was a catcher. He's 99 years, 122 days. So we got to get Mike Sandlock to October 17th to get him to 100. And he has been the oldest living Major League Baseball player since Mr. Marrero's passing. Mike Sandlock played some games with the Pirates as a catcher, and he played mostly during the war, World War II. Now, he started off, he came up during the war, and then he went into the Army, served in the Army, and his call-up coincided. He was called up at the same time and the same day as Warren Spahn to the Boston Braves. And think about that. But the one that I found the most interesting, and Pirate fans will remember this name, and I couldn't believe this last year. They had a reunion of the 1979 team last year because it was the 35th anniversary.
Right.
So, hard to believe.
I know.
And Al Monchak was the first base coach on that team. Remember, Chuck Tanner was the manager, Joe Lynette coached third base, and they have both since passed away. Al Monchak made it to the reunion at 96. 97.
My gosh.
Al Monchak, on March the 5th, will turn 98. And they interviewed him, and
all the marbles were
everything was fine. Everything was functioning properly for Al. Al Monchak played a grand total of 19 Major League games, and it turns out he is the third oldest living Major League Baseball player. But the thing that's interesting to me is that he made his Major League debut on June 22nd, 1940. That's the day my mother was born. Now, hopefully, you know, I just gave up how old you were, by the way, if you're watching out there. But,
Mom.
Yeah, she'll be all right with it. Like she often says, it beats the alternative. So, you know, we go with that. But Al Monchak is still living, and that's the oldest. He's the oldest living coach. The oldest living coach. And we go down to Bobby Doerr. Monty Irvin comes in at 95, and on February 25th will turn 96. Monty Irvin, the great Negro League player, Hall of Famer, played for the Giants alongside of Willie Mays in the 50s. So Monty Irvin is on the list, and we keep going down. Wally Westlake, an old Pirate who played in the same outfield with Kiner.
Yes, and a good hitter, too.
And a very good player, 958 games. You know, you get to those kind of numbers you're talking. But just some of the names on here, and I saw Yogi Berra was on the list also. Yogi's 89, soon to be 90.
My guy, at his age, and I forget what it was that he was eligible for, but Major League Baseball had just completed some calculations on what money was due him because of his whatever the performance was, or it was a certain window that he had to play in, that he was entitled for money. And right before he died, he received a check from Major League Baseball. The guy's 102 years old, for $20,000 from Major League Baseball.
That's got to be more than he made when he played total.
And Mike, here's a guy who, at 102, had to outlive his kids. There's nobody to leave the money to. I'm hoping that he made some good use out of it, and with whatever may have been left to give to a charity or church, somewhere along the line. But
a church,
the guys,
give it back to the game in some way.
Yeah, and make it count.
And, well, something I don't know if you saw this, and with the cheating scandal that happened with with the team out of Chicago in Little League that had to have their American title stripped from them. Andrew McCutcheon wrote a great piece about the difficulties of trying to get disadvantaged African American youth back into the game of baseball because the numbers of black players is falling big time.
I didn't realize that.
And Andrew McCutcheon said that just out of luck that he was a first-round pick. He was offered a football scholarship at Florida, but it wasn't a full football scholarship. It was a partial, and couldn't afford to do it. His parents couldn't afford to make up the rest of the money. He was a first-round pick for the Pirates, and he said that if he wouldn't have been a first-round pick, that if he would have been drafted lower, maybe the third or the fourth round, where the bonus money and the starting salary wouldn't have been so good, that he doesn't know what he'd be doing right now, but he wouldn't be playing baseball because there's just not the showcases you have to, the thousands of dollars that the parents spend to get their kids seen at the teenage years and in high school, to send them to all these different showcases around the country. I'm going to find it, and it's on Derek Jeter's new site, the player's site, whatever it's called. I'll find it for you. But it's well thought out, and Andrew McCutcheon is a really smart guy, and I think that the Major League Baseball has to do something and I think the game will improve, and especially offensively, which I have a problem with where the game's gone offensively. We'll talk about the strike zone when we come back. They're talking about messing with that, and I think they're going the wrong direction, by the way.
And I'll make one quick comment. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to make one quick comment. I was reading an article not too long ago. It was like a questionnaire of certain major leaguers who had high IQs. And that one of the questions that they were asked to submit an answer to was, tell us the name of your choice for this smart major leaguer, just by the way he does his performance on the field. And I forget who it was, and it's been a while since I've gone through the article, but the guy said, I think one of the smartest players in Major League Baseball today, Andrew McCutcheon. And
it's theplayerstribune.com. It's the site that Derek Jeter started after he retired.
Okay.
And what the players write. Players get on there, they have articles, and they do whatever. And the article written by McCutcheon is called Left Out. I read it. It's well thought out, and he makes a lot of good points. And I think that, of all the money that baseball is making now, they need to go back, and they've just lost too many good players to other sports and other things because they're not cultivating it.
okay, let's take a break. We're coming back. We're going to have just a couple of minutes to wrap it up. Still have time to get in the phone. By the way, we had one of our winners last week, Rich from Cheswick, got himself a coupon for Bob Subs, and Bob Subs located in New Kensington, across the street from the Kmart on the other side, which is near the gas station up there. So Bob Subs, we had that going out to Rich as one of the prizes from last week. In the meantime, we're going to take the break, and we'll be right back. Welcome to Buffalo Bill's Roadhouse, the place for big appetites. Their great sandwich selection includes the Geronimo, piled high with generous portions of meat and fixings. Their barbecue ribs are the best in town. Half rack or full rack, they don't come better. Buffalo Bill's wings are everybody's favorite. Uniquely oven-baked, not deep-fried, and yet so crispy. Your choice of 13 favorite seasonings. Grab a bucket for the big game. Eat in or take out, credit cards accepted. Buffalo Bill's Roadhouse, Freeport Road, New Kensington, across from Felderelli Square.
For over 38 years and 3 generations, Arnold Furniture has been the area's favorite furniture store. We have over 4 floors of living rooms, dining rooms, recliners, bedding, carpeting, and so much more.
You'll always find friendly personal service from one of the family.
And our prices consistently beat the competition, plus free local delivery and free setup guaranteed. Visit Arnold Furniture online at arnoldfurnitureinc.com or stop in and see us today.
AKLC Studios LLC is the place for your video and multimedia needs. Let AKLC Studios produce a unique television commercial for your business. At your location or in our studios, we're here to meet your needs. Ever want your own television show? Let us show you how. AKLC Studios LLC can even tape your special events and weddings. Whatever your multimedia need, call AKLC Studios LLC in Leechburg today. Professional quality at hometown prices. Don't forget to like us on Facebook.
Hey, don't forget my radio show Saturday on Sports History, WAVL. They're 9:10 on the AM dial. AM. Okay.
The Major League Baseball, they're floating ideas now to increase offense and speed up the game, sometimes the two together. But anyway, that they want to tinker with the strike zone. Now, the first thing I would suggest that they do, Bob, would be to call the strike zone actually as it's printed in the rule book and not the way they do now.
Okay.
Okay, from the letters
Right.
to the knees. Okay.
Right.
Now, that's one thing they don't do, because if it's above the belt, you know they call it a ball. So they're talking about shrinking the strike zone, to which I said shrinking it to how they call it already, because they think that making the strike zone smaller will increase offense. I think they got it completely backwards. I think if you want to increase offense, you need to expand the strike zone.
And make them swing.
And make them swing the bat. Because walks have become such a big deal that the new fangled way of playing baseball is that the most important, remember when you Little League, and you knew which guy you could say this to, Bob was a manager for many years, a walk's as good as a hit. Well, some kid that was true. You want to, please don't swing. That was the way you were saying don't swing, because you knew the kid wouldn't get a hit. Well, you know, this is what's taking place in Major League Baseball now, is that on-base percentage means everything. There's this big argument about Joey Votto in Cincinnati. He doesn't knock in any runs, and half of the people think that it's okay that he takes a walk with a guy on 3rd and 1 out, and the other half of the people think, well, maybe a sacrifice fly wouldn't be the worst thing in the world right now. Well, I think it's backwards. I think you make it bigger. We played softball in high school. Mr. Herlinger, okay, was our gym teacher. And we played softball during gym class. And softball was one pitch. Oh. Everybody got one pitch. Bob, what did everybody do?
Swung.
They swung. If it was a ball, you got to walk. If it was a strike, you were out, or you swung at it. Everybody got one pitch, because guess why? You were going to take your crack.
Yeah, right.
You're taking your crack at it. And I think if you expand the strike zone, make the players swing the bat, it will A, speed the game up, and B, produce more offense.
No,
that's my thought. Yeah. I don't like this idea, and some of the ideas, I don't like the pitch clock either, Bob. I don't want a clock in a baseball stadium.
Well,
the only clock that's necessary in a baseball stadium is the one that tells you what time it is. If they want to speed it up, the umpire has a stopwatch, enforce the rules that are already on the book.
Simple enough.
Let's try that first, because they're not doing it.
And maybe next week, if it's still fresh in your mind and you want to regurgitate this, we'll talk about the Little League team from Chicago even further as to, what are your feelings about it?
I don't blame the kids.
They shouldn't take it away from the kids.
They went
Why
out and
punish
played
the adults?
Well, I think that the adults that were involved should be banned from Major League Baseball, from Little League for life. That they should not be allowed to participate other than dropping their kids off at the game or watching the game.
Okay, one quick thing. I did a story on my website maybe within the last month that talked about the guy who invented the Little League World Series, a resident of Williamsport. And once he got it started, he didn't like what the folks were doing on the board. And he criticized it and said they were only concerned about the income that they were getting, and it just wasn't for the kids. They were juggling rosters. It was one of the terms they used. Long story short, he left. The guy that invented the World Series in Little League Baseball never once in his entire life, and he passed away, attended a single World Series game in Williamsport. Not one. Folks,
that was a long time ago.
It's been. Hey, thanks for watching. I'm Bob Tattern.
I'm Mike Palvin.
We'll see you next week.
Thank you for watching Sportsline, brought to you by Ace Hardware, New Kensington, AKLC Studios in Leechburg, Arnold Furniture, 5th Avenue, Buffalo Bills, New Kensington, Fazio's Deli and Meats in Arnold, Highland Tire, Toronto and Natrona Heights, Mattio's Pizza and Subs, Brackenridge Heights, Resevich Family Funeral Homes, Lower Burl in Arnold, 380 Discount Warehouse, Murraysville, Tower Auto in Blawnox, and Westmoreland Insurance Services of New Kensington.